and welcome to this week's episode of Happily Ever Caffeinated, your weekly wedding video series where we get stupid high on coffee and talk about weddings. I am your host, Pavel Stehlik, co-founder of Photo Bohemia, and I'm here today with Marie from Hands on Sweets. And we're going to be discussing sweets. Let's do this. Talk to me about your wedding cakes, because I have seen your wedding cakes, which are incredible, but they may not have. So tell me about your worlds.
So wedding cakes go back to a gazillion years back.
A gazillion years, that's the scientific number.
That's a scientific number,
yes.
exactly.
Okay.
So it started with a piece of bread.
Right.
And then it went over to being pies, and as years progressed, then it became a wedding cake.
Is that like the whole breaking bread?
Yeah, that is correct.
And they still do that at like Jewish weddings and things
That
like that.
is correct, yeah.
Interesting.
So it all goes back to that, and then nowadays with so many trendy stuff and so many things that are happening, it's just so interesting to see how it has evolved, and all the fondant and buttercream and piping and details and geometrics and lace and flowers and sugars and all this fabulous stuff that complicates the outcome of what is a wedding cake. And it's not just cake, it's a display, it's a work of art, it will be displayed on the wedding. It is, in many religions and cultures, it is displayed as something as wealth. So it's very interesting how widespread the whole cake ordeal it is. Many people are using dessert tables, which is amazing.
I was going to ask you, do you do just wedding cakes, or do you do all the little desserts?
We do wedding cakes, dessert tables, and favors, which are very interesting.
You did favors too.
Yes, those are really cute. We do make some little hearts, half dipped in chocolate, and then in a little box. They're super, super cute.
That's awesome.
So, like little chocolates or anything. I mean, if we're getting to Valentine's, you know. So.
It's Valentine's. You need little chocolates in your Valentine's.
You cannot do Valentine's without strawberries and chocolate.
No, and whoever invented that rule, I love that. I appreciate them as human beings.
Pretty much, it has definitely evolved and kind of developed. Everybody wants to do their own dessert table, their own. Some people love donuts, some others love pies, some others love cookies. So it's really, really fun to just kind of make that special and unique to what everybody wants for that one day in their life.
Do you get a lot of people with very personal, cool ideas, or do you get the people that come in with like the Pinterest, they want the geode cake, and that's it?
We have both. Sometimes we get Pinterest boards are all over the place, and we have to okay, so what is your wedding and what fits your wedding?
Right.
And sometimes we get a lot of inspiration from wedding dresses or invitations or just decor in general, or some brides love flowers, so then we do the cake and flowers, and we can do all those sugar flowers.
Yeah.
So it just depends from where the inspiration goes, what the bride really wants, and what they want to portray at their wedding. Because if they want a really casual wedding, a naked cake or a crumb-coated cake would be ideal, or just a simple buttercream cake.
Yeah.
It's perfect. There's no right or wrong.
Right.
It's basically what fits your wedding the best.
So you weren't, when naked cakes became the whole thing, you weren't judgy? You weren't like, oh God.
Well, I gotta say, at the first I was like, I can't do this. It's an unfinished cake. I just can't. My OCD doesn't let me. But when you style the cake and
when it's done correctly.
Exactly, it's a whole nother 9 yards. And there's some weddings that really they fit it perfect.
Yeah.
They fit it perfect.
See, it's funny because I hear there's a divide. The world is divided. There's the very far side that loves fondant, and the other side that hates it. I'm of the side that I like to eat it like a give me as much condensed sugar as possible.
Well,
I'm fine with it.
That is great, and we actually put both in it.
Okay.
So majority of bakeries just do a crumb coat, which is a very bare coating of icing, and then they put a super thick fondant over, which makes it kind of bulky and unfinished. So we use normal out the door buttercream, and then we put an 1/8 of an inch thick fondant, or even sometimes less.
Just to polish it?
Just to polish it, make those little corners perfect and super sleek. So if you really are against a fondant, we can always do buttercream.
Right.
In most cases, some designs just don't allow it.
Right.
But for the most part, we can use either or.
Yeah. Now, for you personally, are there any trends that you love that you've seen come in? Like you recently, I saw a marble cake that you did that was
Yes.
wow. Like
So,
I don't even know how much time that would take to do something like that. But are there any things that you really love?
I would say I love hand-painted cakes. It's one of our strongest features.
What is it?
Hand-painted cakes.
Oh, hand painted.
Yeah. So
Yes.
we do a lot of that. The marble is super trendy right now.
Yeah.
It is kind of like classic but still modern-y.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. And there's nothing more beautiful than just a traditional white lace cake with sugar flowers.
Yeah.
So people ask me all the time, like, what is your style of cake? I'm like, well, I love
The kind you can eat.
that too. But normally, like visually,
Yeah.
like anything that is very clean, that has no lumps, that no little dents and stuff, just makes
Right.
it so beautiful. And sometimes the simpler, the better.
Yeah.
So it just depends on if you have a black tie wedding or if you have a casual wedding or what is it that you want to portray. But if you
Right.
ask me, I love very clean, just elegant, soft cakes,
Nice.
maybe with a hint of modern in there, with some gold or gold leaf or
Yeah.
some Art Deco or something like that. So
Beautiful. I loved it when the black cakes started coming in, and then
Yes!
everybody during the reception would have
oh
bright
my
purple
gosh,
mouths.
I know.
It's like, oh my god, how much food coloring to make black cake, and then their mouths and tongues were all like purple. That was great.
Let me tell you, I always suggest, because this is something that people don't think about. I mean, not like bakers, but just in general, like clients. And whenever you're doing like a dark colored cake, if it's red or navy blue or black or anything like that, use it as an accent.
Yes.
Or use fondant, because you
Right.
can always peel it off.
And have the buttercream
And then have the
underneath, and
white.
not walk around with a
Yes.
blood red mouth the rest of the night.
Exactly.
Awesome.
So, but for the most part, you can do anything.
So last question.
Tell me.
How much time does an average cake take for you to put together? Like how much
So-
what's the procedure? How soon before the wedding do they need to talk to you? And then how much of that time do you actually need to put it together?
Normally, we are in touch with the bride between 6 to 9 months prior.
Okay.
That's like the sweet spot to book.
The sweet.
No pun intended.
Excellent.
That way it ensures you that you have availability, that we have availability, and that the date is good to go and scheduled, and
Right.
everything is properly ordered and so forth.
Right.
And it's very different for us because we're a boutique style cake shop, so we work with you hand on hand designing. So
Right.
then after you call or email, then you'll get a design session, and then we'll go ahead and design up to 3 designs.
Nice.
And you can choose from there. We'll
Awesome.
color code it and everything, so you can see the full display and so forth.
Right.
And then we get to choose the cake stand. After that, then we go into sending you the final design with all the details. A lot of emailing goes back and forth throughout that period of time. And then once you're booked, then you're set in stone. Then we go back in touch about a month before to
Okay.
ensure that the number of guests is still accurate and all
Oh,
that.
true. Yeah.
You never know.
Right.
So 30 days before is the perfect time to do it.
Right.
And then after that, we go into the week off. We go into baking the cake, decorating it, prepping the icings, the fillings, the stacking, the cutting, all of that. So in a week, we can spend about, I would say, minimum of 10 hours on each cake.
You need to show the sugar
Yes.
flower that you just did because it is beautiful.
So-
And I honestly thought you were joking saying that was made out of sugar because that's not
The
sugar.
flower for you.
That's gorgeous. Like, and you can move them around.
Yes, these
and-
are a sugar peony. So we hand make all of our flowers.
Can you eat the center too, or is that wire?
Well, actually, those are wires.
Okay.
Those you don't want to eat.
That's amazing. That's
So-
absolutely gorgeous.
All of the flowers are handmade, which is great because they're not poisonous.
Yeah.
They're safe for the cake.
Yeah.
Then you can get as deep of a tone or as light as a tone as you want.
Right.
So sometimes flowers are not in season. You can have your peony when it's not in season and so forth.
Cherry blossoms when it's not cherry blossom season. Wow.
And so forth.
Well,
so it's
you
super
guys
fun.
do beautiful work. Seriously, we're so lucky to have you guys in this area.
Thank you.
And thank you for giving us something delicious to eat at the weddings.
You're more than welcome.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Always question with the Q. Questions help us learn things new. Question marks are very cool, especially